Financial Solutions is brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank.
All right, welcome back to KUAM News Extra. Now, every other Monday, as you know, First Hawaiian Bank stops by our Harmon studios with helpful financial solutions. Now, joining me to talk about estate planning is FHP Guam Trust Corporation President George Weir, a new friend, and Senior Vice President and Banking Center Manager, and someone who's been on television more than I have in the last month, Mr. Ed Untalan. Ed, welcome back.
How you doing, Jason?
Is your chair all nice and comfy now?
Oh, it's got my name on it.
Yeah, we got your spot. And George, very nice to meet you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Okay, so we've been talking about, like Ed's been with us in recent weeks talking about succession planning. Tonight we talk about estate planning and everything. So George, if you would, why is estate planning so important, and what may be the differentiation between estate and succession planning?
Well, as my dad used to say, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. And the same really applies to estate planning. If you pass away and you haven't put together an estate plan, your assets are going to go wherever the law says they're going to go, and it may not be what you have in mind. So it's extraordinarily important. And that's different than planning for your business and who's going to take over, because you're probably still going to be alive when somebody takes over your business. When you die, your assets got to go somewhere.
Okay. Now, from the local perspective, Ed, how big is the market for people that go to the extent of properly declaring their last will and testament and going through the whole process of properly declaring their estates?
Well, we've been discovering that there are a lot of people who don't have any wills in place. A lot of wealthy people or who have accumulated wealth over the last many years since then. And a number of our customers we've been discussing this topic with are saying, hey, we need some help now. So the market is very, very big here. Since the war, a lot of wealth hasn't been transferred, and a lot of the wealth have accumulated since the war. And now it's come to that age where it will transfer on to their children. And it's come to a point where people need to start seriously planning for their wills or their trusts, or how they want to transfer their wealth to successfully.
Now, of course, you mentioned people of wealth and people of great affluence. Exactly what type of person wants to avail of your services to consider estate planning? Do you have to be of a certain economic level, or like if you're maybe like a blue collar worker, but still you have a wife and children, and you have a certain amount of assets and everything like that? At what level should you start considering?
Well, it's a good question. My view is there's really not a dollar threshold. I think the real issue is if you have something that at the time you die you want that to go to a specific person or to an institution, say if it's a charity, then you need to, no matter what it's worth, you need to write it down. Equally important is stop and think about if you have children, you're actually going to be, if you die and those children are still minors, you're going to be leaving your children to somebody. And if you haven't made a provision for those kids for a guardianship, a judge is going to decide where those kids go. And the judge may not send those kids where you want them to go.
Okay, well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your insight.
Thanks a lot, Jerry.
I appreciate it.